See if it comes up. I'll refresh it again. Yeah. So YouTube doesn't come up as fast as Facebook does for some reason. Facebook does it pretty quick. So that anybody that's is listening on YouTube while we're getting ready to fire up here live at 5 on Taco Tuesday. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Are we up on YouTube?
YouTube is up.
YouTube is finally up and cackling on that. Let me see if that, I'm going to see if I can pop in on the that and see if Jesse is correct or if he's telling me a fib on that. Lots of fun.
I don't lie all the time. I bend the truth.
At least today's not as, well, it's not as busy and stressed out as it was yesterday. Nothing like not knowing if the equipment's going to work before you roll into the show. But we pulled it off. Everything went pretty well, I think, for the first time on. Back up on KMET 1490 on that. So, we're not getting I'm not getting a live yet on the YouTube on my end.
No? Okay, let me see what I could... Oh, okay, let me see. Just sharing, posting.
So, a lot of stuff. I guess Iran or they hit one of our facilities over in Iraq, or where some military people are, that just broke about an hour ago. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have Mason Weaver on at the bottom of the hour when we come on KMET. So we'll get into some of that stuff. That lots of local goodies going on today of that. So we got plenty of stuff usually to talk about. Wendale.
Yeah, we're up on YouTube.
We're okay. So have you hit Facebook yet, or?
Yep.
Oh, we are?
Yep.
Oh, you didn't play the intro.
Because I was going to wait for the actual show.
Oh, so this is not the actual show.
Well, I don't know.
Ah, yes, now I see it on YouTube.
You know what? We actually never decided on that. Like, do you want me
Well, yeah, we should probably play the intro coming in on the, because, I mean, I guess what difference does it make if we play it twice?
That is true.
On that, so we'll work on that.
I figured this would be like the pre-show.
There you go.
I like that. The pre-show before the show.
Let me see if I can copy this link. One of the things, and we did talk about that since we're up on Facebook Live on that. It looks like Iran, Iraq have attacked one of our facilities in Iraq where some of our personnel was that the White House issued a press release on that, said President is monitoring the situation on that. So we'll see of what goes down on that. But we'll have Mason Weaver on at the bottom of the hour when KMET joins us, and we'll get into probably that and many other topics. I'm sure all you Mason Weaver fans would like to, or especially, maybe not like to, but especially waiting to hear from Mason Weaver because you haven't heard from him a long time on that. So we'll have him back up on that, getting ready to go. See, when you're doing this stuff like on the fly or all this and it doesn't copy the link, like it says it's going to copy the link that I'm going to send to Jesse to talk about that, because one of the things that I wanted to see this, I wanted to get him to load this video up and send him. I just sent it to you on that. One of the things we're going to talk about in this half hour, those of you that have known, or Jesse, light up your mic. Have you ever been, I know you're not much of a world, if even local traveler, but have you ever been by the 210 and the 605 freeway and you've seen the big Miller Beer, place where they distributing and manufacture, I don't know which brewery, I guess you could say, the big brewery, where they make most of Miller Lite, and all that sort of stuff over there. Have you seen that big place?
No, I have not. That sounds cool, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you won't. That thing has a lot of history. That was where the original Irwindale drag strip was.
What? And they're tearing it down?
I don't know. They're selling it. Miller Brewery's pulling out. they're moving to Texas and Colorado, bailing out of California. Pabst said they might buy it, but it's unclear if they're going to buy it, but that might even be going down. But there's another connection to that. Do you like In-N-Out burgers?
Oh, I love In-N-Out burgers. Who doesn't?
Well, when that was the last owner of Irwindale Drag Strip was a guy named Harry Snyder. You know who Harry Snyder is?
Negative.
He's the guy who founded In-N-Out Burgers.
Oh, nice.
So he was running Irwindale. He was a big drag racing fan, I think he did drag racing, owned drag racing cars and stuff like that. Well, he wound up selling Miller Beer. Miller Beer decided they were going to build that brewery there, I think around the 70s or so. Maybe it was late 60s, 70s. They bought that property from Harry Snyder of In-N-Out Burger. And that's basically the money he used to expand his little enterprise over there to the vast juggernaut it is today. So that's a little bit of history. But I should hit the cough button. Excuse me. But mainly dealing with that. Another big California business or another brewery, they're probably not citing it, but, the cost, regulations, everything else are driving another big business out of California. So you got this Channel 7 report on the Miller Brewery, so let that roll.
This is another example of a California operation leaving the state, and the future is very unclear for the employees that work here. 470 employees work at the Irwindale Brewery behind me, and Molson Coors just announced it will be ending operations at this Irwindale facility by September of this year. A company spokesperson said it was a very difficult decision, but this will allow their production to become more efficient. Coors has decided to enter an agreement with Pabst Brewing Company, giving Pabst the option to purchase the Irwindale facility. The historic brewery off the 210 freeway just east of the 605 opened 40 years ago, back in 1980, and last year the employees here produced 4.8 million barrels. So over the next 9 months, production will transition from here in Irwindale to Texas as well as Colorado.
There you go. So you've never been, have you ever been on the 605 or the 210 freeway going through there? And I hate to put you on the spot like that, but...
No, actually that place does look familiar. I mean,
you can't miss it. Those things probably stick up as higher than the big vats where the beer is made.
Yeah.
Probably stick up as higher than the good old cement plant at the Junkyard Studios here.
Ooh, neat.
And they're probably like maybe 100 foot around or 50. They're huge. Just standing, you see them there. They're painted like the beer cans now, or painted like the beer cans. When they first did it, was just like the original Miller Lite, or the original Miller beer was what they had them painted. But now they got all the Miller Lite and this and that, and who knows whatever of how it goes. But yeah, it. Man, I should hit the cough button on that. But excuse me on that. But yeah, no, it's really. I don't see how you can't miss it when you're driving by it. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But it's right there on the, what would it be? I think the southeast corner of where the 210 meets the 605, or where the 605 dead ends north, just above Irwindale there. Right there, and man, it's been there, like I say, since about 70s, somewhere in there. That's when the drag strip went down, right in there, and they built it into that facility there. But another 500 jobs of California right down the old rat hole on that. And they're not citing it, but I'm sure on and off on that. California regulations, cost of doing business, everything else. It's going to be cheaper to brew the beer in Texas or Colorado and truck it all the way to California than doing that. They're closing down a $150 million facility, or that's what they're saying. If Pabst is probably stupid enough to buy it, and put up with California's business BS that we do around here. Or that we create around here. That's another another business, and this keeps happening every day. And you know what? This is the jobs. There's another jobs. These are what you would call blue collar jobs, middle class jobs that are going away. by the boatloads out of here. That's a story that's not being told. Yeah, for all these high tech jobs or whatever in Silicon Valley and San Francisco and the Bay Area is doing it. This is why Southern California is basically in decline. Here's another great job producing economic benefit to this area that's going down the road. And I mean, what's going to happen when the last one goes out the door? It's sad to see the decline in California on this whole situation, because every day, I mean, and ultimately, one way or the other is driving. If you like beer, it's driving the cost of beer up, because I can guarantee you, if the cost of producing the beer was the same in California and Texas and Colorado, Miller Beer would not be moving that facility. But I mean, it just shows you how much more expensive it is. I think, and maybe this will sink into some of you, how much more expensive it is to brew beer, which, what's the big deal on that? To brew beer in California, it is now cheaper to truck it 1,500 miles or 1,000 miles from either Colorado or Texas, brew it there and truck it into California, then brew it in California and probably deliver it within a 60-mile radius of Southern California. If that doesn't sink into to people, I don't know what will, because that's one of the, it's a crying shame that we have to keep doing this to ourselves, that we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. And then when all of these... I'm going to hit the cop button. When all these facilities are gone, well, what's everybody going to... then everybody's going to start hollering and screaming of that. It's why you have a decline in here. I mean, we wiped out the aerospace industry in Southern California over this. Oh, we don't want those dirty manufacturing jobs. We want all this clean, green, blah, 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 blah. And you know what's happened? Your buying power, wages, real wages adjusted for inflation, went down. And it's going to continue to go down if you keep reelecting these complete yokel idiots that you keep electing here in California. Both sides of you on the political aisles. Two things. You on the center left, you're going to have to start paying to economics. You from the center right, you're going to have to get back to California, which was basically built on the freedom and liberty model as far as personal. As long as you're not bothering me, we're not concerned about dictating the behavior of you. And that's what the whole thing. We could get back to California from the gold rush of 1849 to the 90s, where we were very fiscally conservative and we were very liberty-minded as far as freedom and freedom of choice. Then we will get back to being on the path to being number one. Because there's no other region in the 57 states, or whatever Obama called it, in the United States that has the natural resources, the terrain, the beauty, the weather that any other state in this country has. Well, you were to Irwindale Speedway. You're talking about the newest one? The newest one is across the street.
Is it?
It would be on the west side of the 605 freeway. I mean, almost directly across, almost directly west and a little bit south is where the new Irwindale Speedway. There was also 605 Speedway, which was about half a mile south of where the brewery was. That ran back in the 70s, but I know you weren't there because you weren't even freaking alive at that time.
No, I went to the Speedway.
You wouldn't have went to
20 years ago?
No, yeah. That would have been when it first opened, I think in 97, 98?
I think it was like early 2000.
Okay, yeah, that would be the new one. That would be the only one you could have went to, now that I'm thinking of it, because you wouldn't have went to Irwindale Raceway, which was a drag strip, or Speedway 605, San Gabriel Valley Speedway, which is the oval track, because you were not on the top side of the grass yet. But yeah, but it's right in that same area. I mean, like I say, basically across the street is where the Miller Brewery is. But no, we're talking about all this stuff of the rules and regulations, and it rolls up another study. You think I'm nuts or something, and you talk about it. And I wish Goldfish Brain was in here because she said, "Why do you talk about all this stuff?" Well, yeah, you know what? Guess what? SUVs are getting bigger. Why? Because the market demands it. And there's a big study on that. You got USA ran the article on that. They are now building, they're building big trucks, SUVs, both the Chevy's most popular models, the Tahoe and the Suburban, are getting substantially bigger because people want big. They want room, like in their houses. They want room. They want to be able to go where they want to go, when they want to go, and they want to do it on anybody else's schedule, like public transportation or this green stuff. Or they don't want a $200,000 Tesla parked at the charging station for 2 days because there's no electricity to charge the goofy electric vehicle. And you know what GM is doing? Off the profits they're making off of SUVs. You know why SUVs are expensive? Because they got to jack the price of them up to afford to do all this mandated electric car crap. So not only are you paying more, you know what? On the average SUV now, that's why SUVs are getting popular, or why car companies are pushing it. Car companies are making about 15 grand profit right now on an SUV. I mean, Toyota, from Toyota San Bernardino, you go to Highlander. Highlander's expanded in the last 15 years, has gotten massive compared to when they first were built. Because that's what they're buying. Don't let all this millennial crap and we want a little foo-foo and we want to ride our bikes everywhere. It's total BS. Because you know what? The free market works. And if you pay attention to the free market, it will tell you what people want. Don't ask them what they want, or don't let the dominant media put some fruitcake on the deal and say, "Oh yes, I want a green car," and "Oh, we're going to live in the Wizard of Oz and Wonderland and all this stuff, and everything's going to be all great." Balderdash. They are not. I am the true. Me and my like are the true green environmental. That's why I'm wearing the green today. Because we are the true environmentalist of the time. We actually want a sustainable environment. We actually want people to enjoy life, have a high quality of life, and do what they want. And we'll all coexist. And the free market will make that work. It does make it work, because I will tell you the other study. I went to the ones, we did this in 2010, 11, where economy's down in the tank, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going over to the Riverside Transportation Now meetings in Moreno Valley, which is Riverside Transit Agency, which does the buses. And, bus ridership is still down from what it was in the 80s, but it's kind of leveling off. As soon as the economy's picking up in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, public transportation ridership has been going down, down, down. On top of that, LA just did a study. 37% down from the peak in 1985 when there was probably half the population here. Get it, folks? People don't want to ride your stupid buses. They're not going to ride bicycles to work or none of this other crap. They're going to drive cars. California was built on the car culture. And what are you going to? Are you going to dispute the Texas A&M studies or everything else? I can pull them out. I can pull out 152 studies for every little blah, 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 little you're talking, or you're listening to Pocahontas or Bernie Sanders or Darrell Peden or whoever that comes up with all this noise. It's all totally bunk, baloney, BS of what's going on that. So I want to run. We'll pick up this topic more on that, but I want to I think it's Roy's video too, the one from Fox News on Tucker Carlson on the homeless deal. Because here's another report. You want to see what else is going on? Here's another report of the homeless going on San Francisco. Tucker Carlson of Fox News is doing this on that. So he's running a series all week, but his first clip was absolutely great. I thought you had it up there.
Yes. Does anyone think 19 years in Afghanistan has improved America? Look around, obviously it hasn't. Part of the problem is that tar pits like Afghanistan and Iraq and now Iran distract our leaders from the business they were hired to conduct, which of course is improving our lives. That's why we hire them. That's why you vote for them. Making Cleveland better is a lot harder, a lot less fun than lobbing cruise missiles into Syria, and yet it's incalculably more important. You need to make Cleveland better, but that doesn't even occur to them. For the next week, we'd like to remind Washington what their basic duty is. Their basic duty is to improve our lives. And that's why tonight we're beginning our series, American Dystopia. It's a close look at what is happening and what has happened under the leadership of Washington to America's greatest cities. Maybe its greatest city of all, San Francisco. It's hard to wreck a place as beautiful as San Francisco, but they have effectively done it. The reality of that city, we discovered when we spent time there, is even worse than you may have heard. Civilization itself is coming apart in San Francisco, right there in broad daylight, on the city's sidewalks, which are littered with junkies and feces and dirty needles. The jewel of our Pacific coast is now filthier and more chaotic than downtown Mumbai, India, literally. How did that happen? We need to know. Here's the first installment in our 5-part series, but a warning. Some of the footage we shot is graphic and disturbing, and as you watch it, remember this. This is what they would like to do to your neighborhood. At this intersection, just 4 blocks from City Hall, drug addicts were frantically looking for a drug to reverse an opioid overdose. Down the street, paramedics were rushing to help a man who had just overdosed on the sidewalk.
And to say this city is messed up is very messed up.
Such scenes are becoming common in San Francisco, where the city's left-wing officials no longer enforce so-called quality-of-life crimes like public urination or defecation or even open-air drug use.
What do they call it? San Fran Psycho?
Tracy McCrae is a lieutenant in the San Francisco Police Department.
If I went into a store and stole a PlayStation, what would happen?
If it's under $950, you get a citation.
If I smoked crack on the street, what would happen?
Citation.
If I exposed myself in a public park, what would happen?
No, citation.
If I camped on a sidewalk, what would happen?
Warning, maybe a citation.
If I broke somebody's car window, what would happen?
Again, under $950, citation.
If I stole somebody's wallet or purse, what would happen?
No force or fear used, you just took it, and if we caught you, citation.
Pimp to prostitute, what would happen?
Yeah, no, nothing.
If I was carrying an illegal firearm, what would happen?
Discharge, pending further review, you'd be back out on the street.
Police say those citations are handed off to prosecutors who do nothing.
Right then and there, they will make the decision whether it will get charged or not. And the most times it's like, nope, not charged. Nope, not charged.
Many criminals never even step foot in a courtroom. Among America's 20 largest cities, San Francisco now has the highest rate of property crime. Violent crime on its mass transit system doubled from 2014 to 2018.
Just ask anybody. You know it. We feel it. Crime is really out of control. And whether it's property crime or even violent crime, it's scary.
Addicts do drugs on the sidewalk. Homeless people defecate in the street. Smash and grabs happen more than 60 times a day. Many go unreported because victims know the laws won't be enforced.
Our car windows got busted. I didn't bother making a report.
You're in the police department.
Hey, we're not immune to that. We're not immune to that at all.
Criminals act with impunity because they know there aren't consequences. We film drug dealers selling drugs in broad daylight.
Do the police officers know who the drug dealers are?
Yes, they do. We make these arrests to get a solid report. We hand it off. I could come back for my days off and they're back out on the street.
San Francisco has definitely become more dirty, more dangerous.
Yeah, film me, motherfucker. I'll kill you.
Rather than confront the drug use like a normal city, San Francisco enables drug use by distributing roughly 400,000 free syringes every month. City leaders say that giving out syringes reduces the risk of disease.
Of course, no one wants to have somebody get HIV or Hep C, but the unintended consequences is insanity.
And even though city leaders bill the syringe program as an exchange, only 60% are ever returned, meaning they're giving needles to drug addicts.
It's like a minefield because you never know what's coming around the corner.
So we give as many needles as we possibly can. Well, they end up here. They end up here. It is dangerous, disgusting, and it's got to stop.
Our producer and camera crew spent a lot of time in San Francisco, and we have a lot more footage to show you from that city. If you've been there or know it, it's heartbreaking, but you need to see it because this is happening to your country. Our American Dystopia series continues every night this week. Tomorrow, we'll introduce you to a businessman, a small businessman, struggling to run a grocery store in a city where the law isn't enforced. It's hard to believe it's your country, but again, you need to see this.
Yes, you do, because even to that, you talk about syringes and stuff, and it's documented. I think I did a live shot. It was right around Christmas time. There was a cleanup effort around Sunnymead Park, which is in Moreno Valley, which is on Paris Boulevard, right in between, right by Fur, Paris Boulevard. In that general direction was our first original park in the Sunnymead area on that. And it's on there. We were doing a live shot. I was actually talking to council member Dave Marquez, and we're looking, and he hands me a syringe in the park, in Sunnymead Park. That is, this is what's out there, and I showed it on the deal. So you're not immune to it. It's coming everywhere. It's proliferating in that. I do applaud our sheriff's department because they are out there doing their quality of life sweeps, as we post a lot on there with the aforementioned booking photos of the recipients of the attention of Riverside County Sheriff's Department on that, which is doing that. But in LA, San Francisco, they like letting this crap go. And we're doing this all across California, not only across the West Coast. Seattle, you've seen the great 1 hour video Dying in Seattle on that, where they're having the same problems with that. We have almost 50% of the homeless population in California right now. We have about 13% of the overall population, 12% I think. We have almost 400% or 4 times more homeless per capita than just about any other state, or however you want to figure that. That's how bad it is. You keep ignoring this. Some of you that are out there, and especially in that, say, well, we don't want to talk about this stuff, or well, when it all collapses, or you're looking at a Venezuela situation, it may happen. It will take longer in California, the United States, because we have a lot more of them. But when you're facing with the $1 trillion or $2 trillion unfunded mandate of public employee and pensions, going across the board, $3 billion short, $300 million cash in County of Riverside, City of Riverside, I think $300 million, $30 million short of that, and you just go on and on down the list. When those bills come due, and they will come due someday, what's going to happen? And I talked about a little bit of that, but and those of you know know what you were doing or representing that, and were you truthfully representing when you're getting in our political process? And when are y'all out there? When a majority of y'all out there stand up and say this is the way it is? And if we can't trust you, whomever it be, politicians on down, then we're going to have to find somebody else that we can. Or we're all going down. And that's the bottom line situation of that. One day you wake up like this, and it's not, and all of a sudden you're going, what the heck happened? There's crap in front of your business. There's vagrants laying in there. There's the young lady who had the beauty shop up in Sacramento said, and she finally had got tired of it and moved. There's one deal, okay? You think, Miller Coors or whatever is not going to go broke over this whole deal of moving there. They're going to be fine. But tell that lady who runs a beauty shop cutting hair every day, probably just eking out a living on that, tell her. Because that happens probably thousands of times for every story you don't hear like this, or like the Coors deal, or her story. That's what the big deal is on this, and that's why it is important. And that's why people should be paying attention more to this, or take a proactive this. We're going to have a primary election here in about 8 weeks, 2 months, in March, 1st of March.
connecting with Sean right now.
Yeah, we're getting ready to hook up to KMET. So you might hear some beep, beep, boom, boom, da-da-das. Jesse's hooking us up to that. But no, like that little noise you go, that's us connecting to the to KMET 1490. So as you're hearing us across that, which you'll be hearing at about this time.
Hey, guys.
Every day on that. And we just have...
Sean.
We are hooked up with Sean of KMET, so we'll be...
All right, what the hell happened, man? I cannot hear.
Uh-oh. We're having a little bit of trouble.
I cannot hear Roy. I cannot hear you guys.
Okay, well, start looking at the settings. So
can you hear us now? Sean, can you hear us now?
I can't hear.
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We finally got cooked up. Sean can finally hear me, which is good. We've been playing this game a little bit on that as we're setting back up or getting doing that. So, yeah, we should be hooked up fine coming up on that.
For about 30 seconds.
About 30 seconds up, we'll be on that. In about 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to have Mason Weaver back up on the show on that and get with all the stuff of that, because I know all you Mason Weaver fans are ready for him to come back, because you haven't heard him a long time on this on our venue. We're out here in Southern California, so I know that's a big, great treat.
All right, guys.
That we have
here
for
we
that.
go.
Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
The Toyota San Bernardino Recording Studio presents IE Newswire Daily with Roy Blecker. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Yes, we are. We're back on for the second day on the Mighty Met 1490 KMET, booming all across Southern California, the world, and everything else. Not only on KMET 1490, but on YouTube, on IE Newswire, and IE Newswire on Facebook Live on that. So it's great to be back. The first show came off really well. We had a little bit of glitch again here in the second show, but we got Jesse and Sean back at KMET got us straightened out. So hopefully you're hearing us all across the AM dials now that you will be every Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6 on that. We were talking about in our first one we fired up at Live at 5 on IEN. We were talking about the closing of the Miller Brewery in L.A., down there at, by the 605 and 210. The homeless deal, Tucker Carlson is doing a great deal, and people want... I wanted people to argue and stuff, and we're going to pick this up. All of those you disagree are the greenie weenies that are doing that, are saying, oh, we don't want SUVs or none of that, we want public transportation. I want you to defend what it is, because the car companies are building bigger SUVs. People do not want to ride the buses. They want freedom, they want liberty, and they want to live the life. People were born with free will to live the life that they envision, and that is maybe 100% different than me, but I bet you a guy who can really expand on this, and we want to talk about which has been going down and to also on the world affairs on that, and our esteemed President Donald J. Trump, the author of the book Leave the Plantation, and many, many, many more. He's a lecturer, author, all-around big-time entrepreneur, all-around great guy, probably one of the best speakers I've ever known. Mason Weaver, welcome back to the show. IE Newswire Daily on the Mighty Met 1490.
How are you doing, sir? How's everybody in Southern California doing?
We're doing...
Yeah, I know.
Don't ask. You know, you've probably been by it at the 605 and the 210 freeways where the big Miller Brewery, where they brew all the beer there with the big beer cans that are about 80 foot by 50 foot in diameter, about 6 of them sitting there on that. Do you remember that cruising through?
I remember what?
The big Miller Brewery there in L.A. by the 605 and
210. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know what? They just announced today 500 jobs are going to Texas and Colorado because it's getting too expensive, basically, to brew beer in California, and they can brew it in Colorado and Texas and truck it 1,000, 1,500 miles cheaper than they can do it in Los Angeles. So they're saying after about 40, 50 years they've been there, they're saying sayonara, Southern California.
Look at the gas tax. I mean, they refine the gasoline in L.A., but it's cheaper to buy that same gas in Arizona.
Yes. Right, yeah, just when you go from Blythe across the Colorado River into Arizona, at Blythe, the gas is getting close to $4 a gallon. It's like $2.50 when you go like 100 feet.
It's the snowflake tax. You have to understand. There's a tax to clean the poop off the sidewalks. There's a tax for the Hollywood elite to live properly. And so you have to expect in California to be taxed after death up to death. I understand you guys are going to get rid of Prop 13. Bless your heart. Duck and cover, because they're after you guys. They're going to eat you guys alive. Liberals love misery. They love poverty. They love chaos. They cannot live in an environment of prosperity. They absolutely hate prosperity. Just look around at what they're doing. Everywhere you see them in control, you see people in stress. They feed off of stress.
Yes, and you said it. And the reason, and it was I think your first book, but Lee, your very most famous book, Leave the Plantation, that they want you in that situation because that's how they control you. If you're free, if you got money in your pocket, if you got resources yourself, then you can fight back against these guys. If they push you down where you have no choice but to be dependent on them, then you're screwed.
Yeah, their goal is pretty simple, folks. They want us to debate and argue with really do very little in politics. We think liberals are political. They're not political. Liberals are social. They control the social language. They say things like racist and mean-spirited, homophobic. They say things like diversity. And we pick up, the nation picks up on the language. I did that, okay, racism is bad. And then they call somebody racist. It's not fair to be discriminated against somebody because they want to come in for better jobs. Or illegals have to be bad. People who are against illegals have to be bad. So they develop this language, and we fall into it, and we find them spilling over in social and political things. They don't care about politics.
Exactly, it's incredulous on this whole situation. And you mentioned poop off the street tax. You're really right. We were playing the Tucker Carlson clip. He's doing a whole week series on San Francisco and that mess up there. And you're seeing the guy steam cleaning the poop off the sidewalks there every day because it's so bad up there.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, you didn't hear that? Can you hear me now? Did we lose?
Much better.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, you mentioned the poop tax, and we were just playing it. You must have been watching, or we're telepathically hooked up. We were playing a Tucker Carlson clip of San Francisco because he's doing a series, and they're showing the San Francisco city workers out there with steam cleaners cleaning the poop off the sidewalk there daily.
I traveled to San Diego last June with my wife. And we went down to National City, and whatever major road it was, could have been National Boulevard, I don't know, but you have this long line of dilapidated motorhomes parked on the street.
Yes.
You can tell they're not running anymore, and people were living in those. And they had these plastic storage, I guess they're boxes, with the sewer hooked up to them, to drain the sewer in the motorhomes into the container. What do you think they do with that once it fills up?
Yes. Some poor lady got, some vagrant dumped like 5 gallons of this on top of her.
Wow.
That's how bad. Yes. No, there's a cottage. No, we're trading 500 good jobs that you could have got at the Miller brewery over there. And this is the cottage industry that's going into exactly what Mason is talking about. Now there's a cottage industry. People are buying up dilapidated motorhomes, parking them, and renting them out.
Yep. Wow.
Because people can't afford to live in this extremely expensive environment that we've created.
It's going to get worse. If you have your home paid for, If you work 30 years paying property taxes every year, if you pay taxes for every blade of grass you planted, every coat of paint you put on, if you got your home paid for and you're ready to retire, you still eventually will not be able to live there due to the taxes coming. It's going to be like Detroit. Detroit got to be, or East St. Louis, it got to be so expensive to live there, property owners had to abandon the property because they couldn't pay the taxes, so they ended up being taken over by the city and made into low-income HUD homes for the newly unemployed who always votes Democrat. And that's coming your way.
You're making me want to climb up to the old cement tower I have here that's 80 feet on top and make me jump off.
I mean, this is a repeated trend. They do this. They took one of the richest cities in the country, Detroit, and made it a ghost town on purpose, by design, because those homeless people now depend on Democrats to feed them and shelter them and give them medicine. You will always vote for your master. Ask the prostitute and the pimp. They will always support the master. Ask the abused woman who fight the police when they come to rescue her. They will fight for their, ask Patty Hearst and the Assembly Liberation Army. Democrats are experts at this. And we be trying to fight them with logic and truth. We try to debate with the history. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. They know it, and we're still fighting with them instead of trying to control them.
And that brings me up because I want to talk about this whole situation that's going on in the Middle East with Trump. I mean, I don't remember. I kind of equated, 1981, Carter's out, Reagan's in. Soon as the plane's going up and lifting Jimmy Carter out of D.C. and Reagan's president, they're releasing the hostages because they were afraid of him. Just like Trump. And we haven't had a president. The two Bushes, Obama and Clinton, have been playing footsie with these guys all along. Trump comes in there and says, we're ending that. This guy should have been gone a long time ago. And we're going to show you what, we're even better than when Reagan attacked Gaddafi. He missed Gaddafi, but he got his kids. I mean, they surgically popped this guy like nobody's business. And I think they're sending a signal to anybody else, or Trump is. If you mess with the United States, you attack us, our embassies, we can now, you know what, Rocket Man? You want to flap your gums or you're going to say this? We can take it. We have the technology to take you out in a flat, flashing second.
Took out number one and number two. And understand number three hasn't stopped moving yet. He hasn't sat still yet. You've seen his picture online. He looks like a nervous wreck, man. He looks pathetic. And tonight they hit an American base with like 8 missiles, and I would not be surprised if nobody got hurt.
Probably not.
I would not be surprised if they just hit it off in the airfield someplace where nobody was.
Yes.
I'd be stunned if they hit the barracks, because they really, and then they warned. We warned America, don't retaliate. Who does that?
Yes.
Don't retaliate.
You're exactly right. They didn't want to hit anything. They just wanted to so they could show, yes, we're retaliating against them. Yeah, they were probably 80 miles away in some field, so in the Sahara deserts or wherever the heck it is, where they just disturbed some sand a little bit, but they can come back and say, yes, we made a strike back against that, because they know. They know if they tee off this guy or they try and pull any crap with him, he's not taking it. And that's what's got them nervous. And the second thing, and the beauty of this, it's another thing that Trump did. We are now energy independent. Before, they always use the excuse, we have to depend on the Middle East oil. If you want to gas your car, you know what? We're producing so much energy, we're exporting it now, which they said would never happen. Now we can say, you know what? Not only we don't need your oil, we're going to be selling it to you here not too long. We might just bomb all your little oil fields over there, and you know what? You'll be dependent on us to drive your little stuff.
All we need now is to get Europe on our side and act like allies, and quit doing business with Russia for natural gas, and the Middle East for oil. Why don't you just buy U.S. oil and support those troops of ours still in your country to protect your behind? The European nations are a bunch of cowards. They just want to make money and be at peace. They don't mind selling their next generation soul. No one wants to do the heavy work, the heavy lift. This is why Great Britain's leaving. is leaving the European Union. It's just because it's useless. A bunch of hags.
Exactly. Yeah. What was that guy that just got elected? For prime minister of
The
Britain?
Trump
Yeah.
too?
Yes.
Trump too?
Yes. He said, "Yeah, we're getting out of this stuff, and we're producing so because of fracking and technology, we're producing so much natural gas. We could probably power the world's natural gas needs just on the United States. And that just happened in 2 years.
The U.S. has to make a choice.
Yes.
Either you're going to do business with Russia, China, and the Middle East, or you're going to do business with America. Mexico made that choice. And now Mexico, I understand that you guys aren't getting the caravans anymore. What's the matter? What happened to the caravans? Today, Mexico, the United States, it says, has deported asylum seekers in Mexico. They're sending them home from within Mexico. They're no longer allowing them to come here and seek asylum and catch and release. Now they're coming up to the border, and they got to stay in Mexico before they come across the border if they get asylum. And Trump is saying, no, go back home. And they're shipping them back home. Now we got a reverse caravan.
Yes, yeah. It's funny how all that, when they said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to send them all over and all the people who were screaming. You know what? Like you said, that whole situation just went boom. This guy is, and I'm saying, a lot of people, and, Reagan was pretty good at it. He probably kept us from,
down the Berlin Wall.
Yes.
But Trump, man, wow.
Yes.
I am old as dirt. I'll be 70 years old with this time next month, and I've seen a whole lot. I've seen a whole lot of presidents. I have never seen a dude like this.
Yes.
I met him last early November in Atlanta for the second time, and when I shook his hands, I squeezed his hand. I looked him in the eye, and I said, "Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing us the second American Revolution."
Yes.
And he cocked his head and said, "That's what we do, isn't it? The second American Revolution." And that's exactly right. He understands this. I thank Laura. I said, "Thank you for your family sacrifice. We realize what you guys are going through, and we appreciate it. We're never going to turn our back on you." And she thanked me. This is it, folks. This is what we've been waiting for. We got the enemy right where we've always wanted them, right in front of us.
Exactly, and I mean, again, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I could not be more impressed of his resolve to stick to make a decision, do it and get it done with, and not let anybody else talk him out of what he knows is what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you can't listen to cowards. It's boldness creates boldness. Trump has been bold, and now everyone has to stand up around him, boldly anticipating what's going to happen. I am really looking forward to this election cycle. Within the black community, I am seeing nothing but evidence that Trump is on the bandwagon. I wear my Trump 2020 hat everywhere I've gone. I wear it every place, and I have not yet received one negative comment.
Really?
Not even a negative look. I've got fist bumps, handshakes, salute. I got salutes. I have not seen any hatred, any threats. So I think that we have broken the gate on the slave plantation, and black folks are joining America again. Matter of fact,
go ahead.
We have a movie. Every February is Black History Month, the coldest, wettest, darkest, shortest month of the year, and we spend the whole month. Black folks spend the whole month telling white folks how bad they've been. That's what it is. You the dummy, sing the white man that done me wrong song and blame white folks for all their misery. So we're gonna let them do that. But in March, my organization is going to announce March as Black Future Month, and we're going to discuss. This is the greatest economic opportunity you have ever had in your lifetime. This is the greatest chance. More cash is flowing through the black community now than you've ever seen in your life. And you need to prepare yourself to take advantage of the economic freedom that's here. We're going to discuss cash flow or making dough. We're going to discuss ways to get
I love that.
Decide what you going to do.
I love it. Cash flow for making dough. That's
yes,
classic.
because the money is flowing through. The poverty level in the black community is dropping like a rock. Pookie and Ray Ray got jobs now, man. People got this new thing called a 401k. What is that? They got savings. They're no longer buying Nike shoes. They're buying Nike stock. It's a great, but nobody's there is coaching. No one is. We try to meet with the Black Chamber of Commerce in different states. So let's have seminars on what is happening. We got money coming in our communities now like never before in every area. Don't let this thing pass by you. We have to get it. It's up to us. That nobody's going to give you anything, but we had better develop it ourselves. So March is Black Future Month. You can go to my website, leavetheplantation.org, sign a petition. I'm trying to get Trump to proclaim it. Sign a petition. But join anyway because, by the way, you got to join leavetheplantation.org because we've seen 2 years in a row, 2 Octobers in a row, massive reduction of conservative-owned sites taken offline. Massive. I lost 40,000 followers on Facebook in one day. So I think it's a test run for November. Right before the election, they're going to completely silence conservative groups all over the country. So you got to join these groups and give them your website or your email address so we can contact you during this campaign because they're going to shut us off. But already, I was getting 300,000 views on Facebook. Now I'm lucky to get 30. Anything I post. That's what they're doing.
They did that to us on that. We were doing a show on all that, and yeah, they just boom. Last or 2 Mondays ago, they just boom. We were actually exposing what was going on, and you mentioned Trump, and it's like all of a sudden you get shut off, killed on that. Now, I'm not trying to get into the conspiracy stuff too much, but after a while, it kind of makes you scratch your head and go, what the heck's going on?
Hey, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean it's not true.
Yes, it is. I like that. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, they have been, but that again, that to me, and I'm probably sure it does to you and many of our followers, listeners, and do that. That just makes our resolve stronger to go out there and kick their butt.
Absolutely. They can only survive, folks, if we're afraid of being called names. That's all they have. But because of the culture, I was on a radio program a couple of nights ago. This very nice white woman I've known for some time now. She's a decent, hardworking Christian conservative, and she is just paranoid over somebody calling her a racist. And she went raving about, but I'm not a racist, Mason, blah, blah. I said, why would you let a stranger, a total stranger who do not know you, have never met you, who knows nothing about you, proclaim that you're a racist, and you spend 2 days trying to convince them you're not? Why would you do that? Well, I just don't want to be called a racist. So I said, listen, if I called you, if I said, why don't you confess to your audience who you really are? Why don't you come clean about your real identity? You know that you are a 6'8", 250-pound black man. Admit it, you know you are. How long would you try to convince me before you label me stupid? Why would you let somebody call your name and you take that title and run with it? It's amazing.
Yes, I say this a lot. The problem you have, Mason, is you try to introduce logic into the conversation.
It's like trying to wake somebody who's pretending to be asleep.
Yes, it is.
You can't wake them.
Yes, it's absolutely, again, it's like you're seeing it right in front of your face, but you just can't see what actually is going on. You can't break through that barrier to see what reality really is. You're like, who cares? Let them call you a racist all day long. If you're not a racist, that's a reflection on them, not you.
I asked someone, so I was in a restaurant, fast food restaurant, and someone said to me very nicely, but Trump is a racist. Trump is a racist. I said, how do you measure that? What's the measurement that I can go out and measure somebody and see if they're racist or not? What is it? Should it be illegal to be a racist? You want to put somebody in jail or fine them for being a racist? How would you certify that they're a racist? There is no certification. I can't measure racism. I can't measure meanness. I can't measure your hatred. What I can measure is the price of gas, my taxes, regulations. I can measure my income. My 401k is up a third. I can measure that. So let's talk about what we can measure instead of this gobbledygook. I call it the villain storytelling. You call my name. I don't care what Donald Trump is. I care what Donald Trump is doing.
Yes, exactly right. You wrap that up just 100%, right down to the bottom line. Yeah, I don't care what he is. I care what he's doing and how it affects me and my family and my community and my country.
And if we do that, if we just ask questions, he's a homophobic. How do you measure that?
Right.
Who determines that? Who determines he's a homophobic? I don't know what it is, but who determines it? He hates women. How do you measure it? I want everyone listening tomorrow repeat it. How do you measure that?
Yes.
How do you determine if somebody is a racist? What do you mean?
It's crazy. We got about a minute left. Wrap it up. Tell them about your new project there coming up in March and anything else. Go.
Yes, sir. The new book, The Democratic Party Hates America, is on my website, leavetheplantation.org. We're going to proclaim March as Black Future Month. Sign a petition and join us and give me your email address. You guys stay right or be left. I'm hoping to come to Southern California to thrill you in February. God bless you guys.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Mason. We'll make this a weekly deal on that, doing that because everybody enjoys your insights.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
being back on. There we go. There you got the great Mason Weaver on that, back on the show of that, coming up on that. A lot of stuff. Man, we covered a lot of stuff across the board on that. Like you say, you're not going to get the diversity of news, information, and stuff like that like you're going to get on this show. It's going to be absolutely fun, entertaining, maybe even frustrating at times on that, but it's going to make you think, and that's what we're aiming to do. Get you to think, motivated, and ready to rock and roll, because if you're that, there's nothing we all can't accomplish together. We'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, on that with Stephanie and that, and we'll start rolling up our great lineup of guests back in and getting back in the swing of things, getting the technical stuff all worked out so you can hear us. Coming across the air, it's been fun. We'll be back here in 23 hours on Facebook Live and KMET 1490 starting at 5:30. As we say, see ya.